A big holdup with the project, and there's a couple of them. Affordable housing, according to Rob Manfred, seems to be one. We can discuss that later. But the infrastructure cost and how that's getting funded. Now, we knew Oakland from a couple years ago said, we're going to go out and achieve this money. We're going to secure it. And at a certain point recently, the number was $350 million secured, but all through state and federal grants. And I've seen, Casey, some even criticism that, oh, well, you're taking public money for infrastructure for a privately financed ballpark, which, okay, that's fine. But let's be very clear. Public money is not coming from Oakland. This is not Oakland money. I'm here to say, this is more of an opinion than a question. You tell me if you agree. There is absolutely nothing wrong with taking federal money or state money and applying it to this project. It's not Oakland money. It's not coming out of their general fund. This money was earmarked to go somewhere. So would you rather have it go to Long Beach, Seattle, Washington, D.C., a different port around the country, or would you rather have it come to, let's be honest, the Port of Oakland? So every time I see that, federal money is public money, sure, that's true, but it is not in any sense going to affect the city and the community of Oakland.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of ways to look at it. Yes, federal money is kind of public money, but sure. In this case, these are grants that are out there because infrastructure is a hot item in the government right now. These grants are out there for application and to try to secure. And so in that way, what this is doing is it's actually preventing the city of Oakland from using their own tax dollars on this, right? Like the more federal funds they can raise, the more they can bridge the gap and the less they're going to have to try to pull out of the public in a limited obligation bond or some kind of bond to help pay off the remaining balance due to get this thing locked down. So really, these grants are making it so that the public funds aren't being used locally. There's one big one, Regional Measure 3. I did a whole video on it, and that is our our toll dollar that goes up. They raise the bridge tolls around the area.
Very well aware of that.
All that's gone into a pocket of money. A lot of money has been raised out of that, and it was just sitting there waiting to be allocated because of a lawsuit. That lawsuit just cleared. So a big chunk can come out of that now. And then let's also consider, I think this is the most important point. I don't know why I'm just now bringing this up last, and you can weigh in on this too. This stuff has to happen there, whether they build Howard Terminal or not,
right? Because
the infrastructure for the port, the trucks that drive through there all the time, those roads are messed up. The trains are a huge issue. Obviously, you saw the derailment in Ohio. You think trains and train derailments and train infrastructure isn't going to be a hot item now? That's one of the things that's up for discussion here in the grants they're trying to get. So all that stuff is critically important to that area. It doesn't matter if they're even going to build the ballpark. They need it either way.
I think it was my second job, maybe in television, was working at KTVU, Channel 2 in Oakland. Their studios are famously at Jack London Square, just south. But as I used to commute in and out of there, and this was 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, I was always like, is a train going to hit me here? Is this an actual crossing? Where does the street go? I mean, so much. And forget the condition of the streets and sidewalks and sewers and everything else, but just the navigation around there was so poor, and obviously it is in need of the upgrade. You're right, and that's been decades in the making. So the other thing is affordable housing. It seems to be a hiccup, at least as Rob Manfred has detailed. He said that the two sides aren't seeing eye to eye on that. And again, all of that was not a shocker. I think it had been discussed, but when he brought it up a couple weeks ago, maybe we thought that was something that was better settled and squared away. What I don't understand is how there's not a numerical standard in place, either with the county, state of California, federal government, that says if you do a project like this, we expect at the bare minimum you come up with this percentage of affordable housing. And then you define affordable housing. What does affordable mean, either in this market or all markets, or give us a definition. And so long as the A's or any project comes through with that minimum number at the least, it's hard to maybe try and squeeze more juice out of that orange if you're the city of Oakland. I understand that's what's important to them. That's what's important to the state of California, more housing. And certainly I understand their position in fighting for it, but it's hard to me to try and leverage even more out of that when a baseline is legally set and achieved and probably even being exceeded to a certain degree. How much more can you continue to ask? Again, I don't fault Oakland at all. I hope they get the best deal, absolutely possible. It's just a weird, it's a debate that may never end if Oakland doesn't want it to.
Yeah, and this is where, as a sports guy, and you're a sports guy too, I tend to get over my skis a little bit because the more I look into it, the more confusing it gets. But
True.
I believe the law is actually 15%. The A's situation is they're asking for 30%, 15 on, 15 off site. Like, so 15% of the units at Howard Terminal or something along those lines. And whatever they don't put at Howard Terminal, they either have to put somewhere else or pay into an amount of money that offsets the cost. I think that in the last time I talked to Sheng Tao, the new Oakland mayor, she wanted even 15 and then 25% on the other end. And that's far more than necessary. Like, if they're trying to get 30 and now that's going up higher to 35 even, it seems like it's going to be a very tough sell to finish these negotiations, especially when you look at the shortfall in the offsite. So I think that's really interesting in terms of what is the real number, what is required by law,
Right.
and why are we asking for so much more than what is required by law? If it's because we're reimbursing the A's for everything that they're spending on the on-site and we're kicking in all this off-site, yeah, sure. You want that investment to go to something that matters to you. And I can understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I want them to ask for it. That's okay. But to understand that at a certain point, it becomes not negotiable or it becomes a negotiation kind of breaker more than getting the most out of it.